Colleen Ritzer is 24 years old. She has realized her dream and works as a teacher at Danvers High School. Since her youth, she has dreamed of helping young people and accompanying them on their journey to adulthood. She has finally realized this dream and is happy in her new job. But one day she doesn't come home after school. Her family can't reach her, and no one knows what has happened to the vivacious young woman. She's found soon after, dead, abused, and murdered in an extremely brutal manner. What kind of person is capable of such an act? The school's surveillance videos provide some insight. They show images that no one could have imagined before. Images so shocking that you stop believing in the good in people. Colleen Ritzer was born in May 1989 as the first child of Peggy and Tom Ritzer. In the following years, the couple had two more children, Daniel and Laura. From an early age, Colleen was a very social and polite child. She has a very close bond with her family. She always protected her two younger siblings and always made sure that they were not treated unfairly. Colleen has a sense of right and wrong from an early age. She's also an excellent student, and her favorite subject is math from the very beginning. She has a talent for recognizing connections and working with numbers. And so she quickly develops her big dream of becoming a math teacher one day. Colleen has always wanted to help and teach others. If someone at school needs help, Colleen is always there to try and help them. In 2007, Colleen graduated from high school as one of the best in her year. She then began studying to become a teacher at Ascension University in Massachusetts. She also found her studies there easy, and the grades she received at the end of her studies are impressive. Before she starts working as a teacher, however, Colleen decides to study psychology so that she can better understand her students and their problems. After her second degree, Colleen starts working as a substitute teacher at the middle school in Stowe in 2011. A year later, she managed to get a job at Danvers High School. The school, with almost 1,000 students, is located on the outskirts of the city of Danvers near the airport. The high school is one of the best in the country and employs around 100 teachers. One of them is now Colleen Ritzer. The now 23-year-old is very happy about the chance to work there and is now even more dedicated to the preparation and follow-up of her job. Since she hardly has any free time outside of work, she still lives with her parents. But that doesn't bother Colleen. She gets along very well with her family and shares her great passion for ice hockey with her sister Laura. At every game Laura plays, Colleen sits in the stands and cheers on her little sister. Colleen's second passion is always her work. She even tweets a lot about her job and how much she loves it. In her profile, she writes, "After class, Colleen usually stays late to practice with the weaker students and to give them tutoring. She has developed creative ways to help even the most math-challenged students enjoy the world of numbers. And she succeeds. Colleen Ritzer is one of the most popular teachers at the school in the following months. And the head teacher and her colleagues are also enthusiastic about the committed and inspiring young woman. In return, Colleen is happy to sit at her desk every evening until late at night preparing the next day's lessons. Colleen has made it. She has made her childhood dream come true, and she couldn't be happier." Colleen has been working at Danvers High School for over a year now, and she still enjoys her job as much as on her first day. In particular, her offer to students to practice after class has become established and is gratefully accepted. Autumn has arrived in Danvers. The first leaves in the forest next to the school are turning orange and yellow. Halloween is just around the corner. Colleen also looks forward to this time of year. On October 22nd, Colleen is once again giving one of her tutoring sessions in the afternoon. It's about algebra and only 2 students have shown up. But that doesn't bother Colleen. The school is deserted this afternoon. Regular classes ended at 1:45 p.m., And aside from a few colleagues and students attending an after-school club, no one is left. A surveillance camera in the hallway records Colleen briefly exchanging words with her colleague Sarah Quinter about the day. Sarah is correcting class tests in the room next door today, which is why she has also stayed late. Colleen is wearing her long brown hair down today and a simple outfit consisting of a purple top and blue trousers. At 2:54 p.m., the same surveillance camera records Colleen walking towards the restrooms after tutoring. She waves happily at someone. At around 4 p.m., Colleen's family starts to get worried. The 24-year-old hasn't arrived home and isn't responding to calls and messages. In the early evening, Colleen's mother calls the school and asks about her daughter. A colleague tells her that Colleen's car is still in the parking lot. Her father immediately goes to the school and begins looking for his daughter. Nobody knows where Colleen might be, so her family reports her missing. Strangely, just a few minutes earlier, a mother reported her son missing. The boy's name is Philip. He is 14 years old and a student at Danvers High School. Police are not sure whether the disappearances are related, but they are initially focusing their search on Philip. He is still a minor, and something may have happened to him. Colleen, on the other hand, is an adult woman who can decide for herself what she does and when she comes home. The surveillance footage from the school will not be viewed for the time being. The officers are focusing on the school grounds. They find a few drops of blood in one of the bathrooms. At first, however, this does not seem particularly dramatic to them. Late that evening, Colleen's empty wallet is found in the woods near the school. From then on, the investigators assume that something must have happened to her too. They begin to search for her in the forest with tracking dogs, but initially without success. At 12:30 a.m., police managed to locate missing Philip on a highway in Topsfield. Passers-by had alerted the police because the 14-year-old was walking on the unlit road. When asked what he was doing there, Philip could not give a proper answer. In general, he seems to be very taciturn. When asked what he has in his backpack, Philip replies, "Everything I need to survive." Investigators open the backpack and are shocked. Inside are Colleen's credit card, her driver's license, a blood-smeared box cutter, and a set of blue-green bloody women's underwear. When asked who the blood belonged to, Philip answers, "It's the girls." At 3 a.m., the police finally find Colleen Ritzer in the woods near the school. She is dead. The 24-year-old was repeatedly punched in the face and her body shows 16 stab wounds. She's undressed below and was abused by the branch. Within a few meters are Colleen's clothes and some of her personal belongings. 20 meters away, the police find a large green garbage can and a pair of bloody gloves. Next to the body lies a note that reads, "I hate you all." Finally, the investigators look at the school's surveillance footage and are shocked by what they see. When Philip is brought to the station 2 hours later and asked about his teacher's death, he replies, "When she insulted me, I became her teacher." Philip Chism is in the 9th grade at Danvers High School. He just moved from Tennessee to Danvers. He now lives with his mother and his 2 younger siblings with his mother's sister. His parents separated, which was also the reason for the move. Philip is suffering a lot from the separation, and especially from the move. He had to leave all of his friends behind, and now he can't seem to make friends at his new school. He says he hates his fellow students because they are bullying him. Every day, he talks about wanting to go back to Tennessee. Philip is very withdrawn. He doesn't participate in class, but he still gets good grades most of the time. On October 22nd, he attends Colleen's tutoring session together with another student. The student describes him as different. This time, Philip is not quiet and reserved, but angry. The reason for this is an argument with Colleen Ritzer that took place that morning. Colleen asked him something about his past in Tennessee, to which the 14-year-old reacted with shock. Colleen tried to calm him down, but Philip retreated and left the classroom, talking to himself angrily. He found his teacher's question offensive and intrusive. In the afternoon, he voluntarily takes part in Colleen's tutoring course despite his good grades. The teacher is surprised to see him, but also glad that he seems to have calmed down again. When Colleen leaves the classroom briefly and meets her colleague Sarah Quinter, she even mentions Philip. She says she is surprised that he is attending her tutoring sessions. The conversation is brief, and after that, the two teachers go back to their classrooms. At 3:54 p.m., Colleen goes towards the restrooms. The surveillance footage shows that Philip also leaves the classroom shortly afterwards and heads towards the toilets. The 14-year-old puts on his hood and reaches into his bag, where he has hidden a box cutter. He puts on gloves just before he enters the toilet. In the women's restroom, he surprises Colleen, chokes her until she loses consciousness, stabs her 16 times, and then rapes her. At this point, Colleen is unconscious but still alive. 11 minutes after Philip entered the restroom, a student who wants to use the restroom enters. She hears noises coming from the stall and quickly leaves the restroom, thinking that a couple is having sex in there. In retrospect, the student blames herself for not looking more closely and thus easily saving Colleen's life. After being disturbed, Philip quickly leaves the bathroom and walks out of the school. He has blood on his hands and clothes. But Philip seems to have planned the act because he has a change of clothes with him, which he now puts on. 4 minutes later, he enters the school again. He goes back to the classroom and gets his backpack and gym bag. He takes both out of the school and returns shortly thereafter with a large garbage can that was standing near the entrance. At 3:14 p.m., Philippe enters the bathroom with the garbage can and puts Colleen's body in it. He then cleans the toilet as best he can and pulls the bin out of the school, across the parking lot and towards the woods. He is not approached by anyone the whole way, although he encounters several passers-by in the parking lot. Colleen is still alive the whole time. Philippe takes her to the forest, where he covers her with debris and leaves. Colleen bleeds to death there over the next few hours. At 3:58 p.m., Philip returns to the school one last time. He took off his sports jacket since it probably had blood stains on it as well. He took his gym bag out of his locker, went to the bathroom, and changed his clothes again. On his way out of the school, Philip met a classmate. The two talk briefly about the upcoming soccer training session. The 14-year-old tells his classmate that he is going to soccer training, but he doesn't go there. Instead, he drives to Wendy's, eats there, and then goes to the movies. There, he watches the movie Blue Jasmine by Woody Allen and pays for the tickets with Colleen's credit card. Philip's mother reports him missing early that evening. He is eventually stopped by the police on the highway later that night. When interrogated at 5 a.m., Philip immediately confesses to the murder. He also tells the police where they can find the body, not knowing that Colleen has already been found. Philip says the trigger was his conversation with Colleen about Tennessee. However, investigators are not sure whether this really can have been the cause. After all, the conversation took place on the same day, and Philippe was prepared. He has a lot of extra clothes with him, gloves and a box cutter. This suggests that he had been planning the crime for some time. Philip also states that the schoolgirl who entered the toilet threw him off. He had assumed that hardly anyone was left in the building. Not knowing if the schoolgirl had reported anything, he had to hurry and was unable to clean up his tracks as originally planned. Philip Chism is arrested on the basis of his confession. In 2015, the trial of Philip Chism begins in Salem, a town near Danvers. Many of Colleen's relatives attend the proceedings. Most of them are wearing pink, Colleen's favorite color. Philip is represented by attorney Denise Regan. She argues that Colleen had already died in the bathroom and was already dead when Philip acted in the forest. Her aim is to claim that Philip acted under duress by desecrating a corpse. This would establish an inability to control himself, and Regan could prove that Philip suffered a psychotic episode during the act. This would have been triggered by Colleen's question about Tennessee. Several doctors are consulted on this, and they come to the conclusion that Colleen almost certainly bled to death in the forest first. Furthermore, Philip was prepared and brought a weapon and a change of clothes to school. This also argues against a sudden psychotic episode. During his detention, Philip also attacked a prison guard with a sharpened pencil. Her colleagues heard her scream and were able to prevent her from doing worse. Otherwise, Philip Chism might have murdered yet another person. This also speaks against a mental crisis at the time of Colleen's murder. The defense's account of events is also invalidated by this. Philip Chism is found guilty. He is sentenced to 25 years for the murder and 40 years for the rape and robbery. He can apply for parole after serving a total of 40 years in prison. At that point, he would be 56 years old. Due to the severity of the crime, Philip Chism was not tried as a juvenile despite his young age. Colleen's mother, Peggy, is not satisfied with the verdict. She says that Philip only got the chance to be paroled because he was only 14 years old. Peggy does not consider this to be a sufficient reason. She thinks that someone who commits such a cruel crime should never receive a lesser sentence and a second chance at a normal life. In an interview, she says, "We feel that the state still cares more about the killers than they do about the victims and their family. They are putting the killer's life ahead of the victim's life. They are essentially saying that the victim's life doesn't matter. And their life mattered. Our lives matter." She hopes her children will go to court if Philip applies for parole in 40 years. Colleen's father adds, "This is wrong. Don't do this to the families. Don't do it. Think about what you're doing to the families of the victims and what you're putting them through." Peggy later says in an interview, "Her death broke me so much. Now I isolate myself from the people I love because it's so hard to pretend to be happy. He is pure evil, and evil can never be rehabilitated." And Tom replies, "I didn't protect Colleen. A father's job is to make things right. I would do anything if I could make this right for Colleen." Philip's mother is also in the courtroom for the sentencing. She has already apologized to the family for her son's actions and expressed her condolences. When the verdict is announced, she cries lightly. She then says to Colleen's family, "Words cannot express how painful and sad the last 2.5 years have been. However, there is no one who has suffered more than the Ritzer family. My deepest respect, prayers, and humble respect are with them today as they continue on their path to healing." In handing down the sentence, Judge David Lowy said, "Colleen Ritzer lived a life of quiet heroism. The waves of this tragedy will never subside." Colleen Ritzer's death is one of the cases that took me the farthest during my research. It's hard to imagine that a 14-year-old is capable of such a cruel act. Colleen was an inspiring, positive person who still had her whole life ahead of her. Philip Chism denied her that chance. The thought that Colleen was still alive during the entire ordeal, and that she might have been saved if the student who entered the restroom had gotten help, makes me sad and affected. But of course, the student is not to blame. She could not have suspected the cruel crime. What do you think of today's case? Feel free to write your opinion in the comments. If you liked the video, please like it, comment on it, and subscribe. Feel free to activate the bell. It really helps the channel a lot. That way, the video gets a lot of interaction after it's posted, and that helps suggest the video to people who haven't yet subscribed to the channel. Thank you in advance, and thank you for coming. I wish you a nice morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you watch the video. See you in the next video. Ciao.